Hello, intrepid followers, subscribers, and watchers of my YouTube videos. This is Joel the Geek, and I'm here in the Geekfort, and I'm not alone. I'm here with a cosplayer. I'm here with Jonathan Belle.
How you doing? Thanks for
Hey,
having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I'm so glad to talk to you. It's been a long time since we've talked.
It has been a long. I actually can't even remember. What was that? 2017 or 18? 17 maybe.
Yeah, I think it was 2018 was the last time I saw you. I think you were at Emerald City 2019. But as big as it is, we were never in the same place, so we never really crossed paths.
Right, but Jet City, yeah, that was it. That was in the early year of 2018, right? Or like in the early, like January, February. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
totally.
think.
yeah, totally. Well, cool. Thanks for coming on. So let's just start with, when did you start cosplaying?
Well, technically, my very first cosplay, I went to Comic-Con in 2008, and I dressed up as Hancock for that. And that was a big. I mean, the movie had just came out.
Oh,
It was a it was a big. It was pretty big. It was a pretty big hit. And then after that, I was just kind of like, oh, this is pretty fun. I went to Walmart. I went to Goodwill trying to find all of his outfits and stuff. And it was fun. I went to Comic-Con for the 3 days doing that. But then I never really took it any further. Fast forward to 2016 is when I got my first Superman suit. Or 2017, yeah.
Okay. So that goes to the next question. What was your first cosplay? So your first cosplay was Hancock, but then like the next thing you did was a big jump of about, sounds like 10 years.
Yeah.
And how did you decide on doing Superman? Like what was the decision that this is what you were going to do?
Well, Superman was always my favorite superhero, but
Cool.
and being into photography, I wanted to find a way to like take some really cool photos in a Superman outfit. The thing is though, as much as I like Superman, I never really cared for the Christopher Reeves Superman suit to go with the type of photography that I wanted to take. And it wasn't until Man of Steel came out when I saw that his suit looked more like a uniform. That's when I was like, I need to get one of those suits. And then it just kind of went from there.
Cool. And was that suit, like the first time you bought the suit or a suit, was that expensive or was that cheap? Like, what did you decide? Like, how did you decide where were you going to buy it from? Because there's so many places out there that sell cosplay outfits and garments. So it's like, how did you choose? Like, what was your thought process?
Well, I actually chose because I found one person, like the only person that I found to do it was one person,
Wow.
Jeff X. Yeah, I found him on Etsy because I didn't really want like a Party City looking one, and then like he was the only person at the time that I found that made that suit. So I bought it from him and it was expensive. It was about $1,200.
Wow.
Yeah. So that suit was $1,200.
Wow. And is that the same suit you use nowadays, or you moved on to another one?
That one I still have, but I moved on to another one only because my original one is getting a little bit in the wear and tear category. So like in order for me to like maintain that one, but also travel around more and do like TikToks or like other photo shoots, I bought another one from Aesthetic Cosplays, which is more of like the printed material. Okay. So that one was only like $200.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's good to know. So then if you're someone that's new into cosplay, you don't have to like feel like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. I have to buy this $1 million suit just to get that accurate look I want.
Right. Yeah. But honestly now, because of all the photography knowledge that I do know now with like levitation photography and all this and that, I'm actually making another Hancock one. So because the one I had in 2008 was, I don't even know where that's at. I think that's in storage in Seattle somewhere. But I'm making it again because I want to go around the area I'm in, like doing levitation shots with Hancock and stuff, like kind of like drunk levitation shots and things of that nature, So like yesterday, I went to 4 or 5 different Goodwills to try to find like a pair of black shorts or like the sweatshirt or a shirt that looked kind of Hawaiian style. I only found a pair of pants, but tomorrow I'm going to go and try to find a sweatshirt. And I found a shop on Etsy that made the beanie. So I have a beanie that I bought for like $20, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So what would you say then has been your most challenging cosplay you've either made or worn?
Uh, let's see. The one I would probably the Superman suit is was pretty challenging. The one that I first bought for $1,200, mainly because like I was living in a van in Seattle at that time, so everything came like the trim came separately from the actual suit.
Oh,
So I had to find somebody to put the trim on that, and I looked like somebody up in actually don't remember how I found this person. I think through Instagram. But then I just like randomly asked him a favor. I'm like, hey, can you, if I come over there, can I pay you to like super glue this trim on me while I'm wearing the suit? And then like all the places that I would go cosplay in that, you know, it's a lot of wear and tear on the boot. So I've actually had to send that Superman suit back to the owner and ask him like twice now to re-sew the boots or like change the boots, because there have been times where I was about to walk out of it from walking around so much, or like,
yeah.
you know, but then like, he's like, man, you must really use this a lot. And to me, I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. But then when I look at photos and videos of me, like in the middle of P&W somewhere, I'm like, all that hiking, all this stuff, it really does like, and then I took it to the Badlands in South Dakota, you know, and I'm going all over the place and I'm looking at my shoes and I'm like, man, these really are getting their money's worth.
Almost like you had to like have a separate actual real boots to wear
Yeah.
instead of just the.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool. So that's another thing I want to ask you about. The traveling a lot. Like, was that part of your cosplay, or is that just another part of who you are that you're just like, I don't want to stay in one place very long?
That's a part of who I am. There's like a pocket of different areas in the world that I want to live. I moved to Seattle to do all the Superman stuff,
Oh wow.
but because I've never lived there and I wanted to. But then after that, I'm like, I want to go move to the East Coast and live there for a year or so for like at least. So my plan last year was to move to the East Coast for a year and like meet a bunch of people in the East Coast cosplay community and explore around here. Well, we all know how this year turned out so far. So like I'm in Philadelphia now, but I live in a city like suburb an hour away outside of Philadelphia,
Okay.
but I've only been into the city maybe like 4 times because of like quarantine and like things not being open and stuff like that. So just now I'm going to start like exploring a little bit more everywhere, because it wouldn't make sense for me to go to New York right now, you
Yeah.
know, or
Oh
like
my gosh.
Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you have a few different cosplays that you wear. I've noticed you have Doctor Strange, you have Superman. I think there's one or two others. Is there one or two others that you have done? I think I've
Yeah,
seen.
I have a Green Lantern one that I do as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, yeah. Speaking of Doctor Strange, so that one I found on Etsy. It was a seamstress that made that suit. That one was about almost $500 for that, and I'd have to say that suit, getting in and out of that one is a little bit cumbersome, a little bit because of like the everything is like separate, so you got to put everything on individually,
Oh wow.
which is pretty cool, which makes it look like it's that realistic, but also, you know, it's a lot. So
Is it very heavy too with all those different
yeah,
layers?
it's a lot of layers, and in the heat right now, it's really not that fun because I wear thermals pretty much underneath all of my cosplay so that the sweat stays in the thermal, not on the suit. So
That's
I
really
haven't
smart
done,
to do that.
yeah, but I haven't really been doing that, wearing the cosplays this month because it is so hot and humid. I don't like, I'm like,
That makes sense. Totally get that. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So then that's another thing I was going to ask you is what made you decide that this idea of wearing a layer underneath the cosplays was helpful? Was it that you just realized, man, I'm really sweating, it's really smelly, or was there something else that like you saw someone else do it, or what led to that idea?
It was my very first Superman suit when I found out because he puff painted it. And since I was living in a van, I was like, and he said, he's like, you can't really wash this. So, you know, we all know that if you sweat a lot on something, it makes salt stains. So I was thinking like, how am I going to rectify this problem of preserving this suit long enough to where I don't leave salt stains all over this nice blue, you know? So then I thought to just get thermals, and that's what I started doing. And
Cool.
then like every once in a while, I'll have to take a toothbrush and like, you know, gently wash the underneath it or like the neck area. But for the most part, yeah, and on really hot days, I'll wear like 2 layers of thermals underneath.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. So then what would you say then is your favorite cosplay that you have worn?
Probably the Man of Steel Superman one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where it's all started from there. And I literally could wear that, and I have worn it, just like regular clothes places because I love that suit just so much. It
You
doesn't
could
feel like
probably
a
just wear a
cosplay.
pair of pants over it and wander around.
Exactly.
Cool. Where is the place that you talked a lot of different places where you shot in the Superman suit and some of your other cosplays? Where has been your favorite place that you have done photography of your cosplays at?
I would have to say Seattle so far and London. I actually brought it to London to
Wow.
yeah, and I have a picture in front of like Big Ben that was really nice and doing some stuff. But like I said, like I drove through Seattle in 2007, and I always have wanted to move there. And like in 2016, 2015, when like Instagram was really big on all like the PNW, like pretty nature landscapes and things of that nature, and everybody was trying to take travel photos. And a majority of them were in the Pacific Northwest. So that's when I was like, I need to find a good enough Superman suit that looks like real. And that's when Man of Steel one came to mind. And I need to move to a location that I could take all these cool photos in. And that's where those two ideas came together. So yeah, going on hikes and all around the Pacific Northwest to like the waterfalls and everything, it's just so beautiful, and to take photos in that area, it really is something else.
Cool. That's great. So then what would you say is the one thing about cosplay that you like or find the most satisfying or that you love the most?
I think it's making an outward statement of how good a character makes you feel for me. I think if I could sum it up in that way, like that you like the ideal or like the aspects of something so much that you want to show appreciation in that way or like identify with it. Um, that would be like the summarize of why I love to cosplay.
Awesome. Cool. What's one tip or one piece of advice you'd want to give to someone who was going to cosplay?
I guess I would say do it for yourself, which is like a really generic answer. So I'll explain on that later. Just make sure like what you're doing is for you and not for everybody else. But if it is for everybody else, don't kid yourself that it is or it isn't. And what I mean by that is a lot of people do things for popularity, which is fine. But if that's not how you are, you're gonna burn out of it because you're always trying to keep up and keep up and keep up. So if you really love to cosplay things because you love it, then you're gonna have so much fun and you're not gonna really care what other people are thinking. But if you're doing cosplay because you want to try to become like internet famous or like if it's not something that you truly love but want to see it as a chore to kind of gain fame or make money, it could get a little exhausting because you're going to have to deal with all the people that like love your stuff, and then you're going to have to deal with all the people that don't love your stuff, and then like so it's a lot that goes into it that if you really didn't love it at its core will start like eating at you.
That is some great advice. I think that's really great because there is that tendency within any community or culture of like you get involved in it and you can lose sight of who you are and what you're doing in it. So I think
Right.
that's a really good sound piece of advice. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like an example for I'm big into photography too. So another thing like getting into that whole aspect of in 2016ish when like nature and everything was popular. Well, we also went through the whole influencer thing, right? Like where all these people wanted to be models, and then all these guys wanted to buy cameras to try to be like famous for taking. So I know so many people that I don't talk to anymore because they wanted to be famous on Instagram for like being a model or a photographer. So they went and got all this gear and tried to like compete with everybody doing all this stuff. And then when it didn't take off like they wanted it to, they just quit it because they never really wanted to be a photographer. They just wanted to be like, have the attention of all the photographers that were gaining attention. So it's like the same kind of thing with cosplay. Like it's the same thing.
And it'll eat you up and spit you out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. Oh, so you're in a lot of different platforms I notice nowadays, and I notice you do a lot of different things on TikTok. One of the things I've noticed about TikTok is the idea of collaboration is much more present there. what do you like the most about TikTok compared to maybe other social media? Because I noticed that you do a lot of things that I think are really fun, where you're doing a lot of interactive things with other like cosplayers. Do you find TikTok to be a little more interactive and fun, or what do you think is interesting about social media when it comes to this hobby?
I think it is honestly a little bit more fun in that aspect, because I think Instagram is so like serious, and people want to have like their perfect grids, and they want to seem like they're like all the way up here and stuff like that. And like, oh, I'm not going to follow too many people because then it's going to look like I'm not popular, or like this whole like Instagram thing we have in our head. On TikTok though, it's a whole different story, because it's like encouraged more to want to collaborate and build a community and everything like that. So that's why it's a little bit easier on TikTok to like find an audience or like do things, because people are on there all the time, and it makes it a little bit more easier to like collab and want to collab with people, because that's like kind of what you would expect to do.
Cool.
Especially the cosplay community.
Yeah. I also like that you're also doing some tutorial stuff on there. I've noticed that sometimes you've talked about different kind of like cameras or camera lenses, or how to do things like on a short budget, just like, oh, here's this software I use to make this occur. And I really think that's really cool that you're not just like doing it, you're actually saying, hey, here's how I did this.
Right.
So everything that I love that you're being informative and you're sharing how these things are made. And I think that's really great too.
Well, thank you.
So when it comes to creating, what's the thing that helps you decide what kind of like shot you want to get, or what kind of cosplay you want to do in the videos and the on TikTok, or the photography you shoot? Like, what's the thing that was like, today or this week I'm going to do blank? Like, what gets you motivated to do this stuff?
I would have to say music, and then like looking through Pinterest also. I have a lot of mood boards for different things.
Nice.
So that like when I decide something, I'll try to figure out how to get that, or like music plays a big part of it too. For example, the whole reason why the whole Superboy thing came into existence with like the retro kind of vibe, and then that like kind of cartoon thing I did, is because I heard some like synthwave music on Spotify, and then I just went through this whole like rabbit hole of listening to a bunch of different synthwave music. So then I thought, how am I going to do art using this whole type of retro 90s, 80s synthwave cyberpunk aesthetic? And then I was like, I want to do something Superman related, but the Man of Steel is too much. And then it like clicked on me that like, hey, I could do like the 90s retro Superboy thing, because that fits perfectly. And that's pretty much how that whole thing came about, was because I listened to music. Like the Green Lantern stuff, the whole reason why I got the Green Lantern thing is that I wanted to practice drawing on top of photos with an iPad. And I knew that like Green Lantern, I could pretty much draw anything in green and have it like a construct. And I wanted to try to use Procreate to practice doing like overlays on top of photos. So that's pretty much the only reason why I started doing the Green Lantern. And Doctor Strange is because I wanted to learn how to do After Effects stuff. So like that was one of the big reasons why I got the Doctor Strange suit.
Cool. I think it's great that the two different creative things that you're into, the photography and the cosplay, sort of aligned up for you in sort of creating more of each kind of thing. It's like, oh, I want to use After Effects. Well, you know what? Doctor Strange is a good connection for that. And so that's really cool that you've been able to connect those things like that. That's really great.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you today. It's really been great talking to you. It's been really great seeing you face to face, especially in this time frame we're in, where
seriously,
there's not very much face to face contact if you don't live or are with that person very often. So thanks for coming along.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad you could make it. So where can they find you? We've talked a little bit about different places people can find you. When they want to look for you online, what would they type in? What's your call sign or your name that you use on your social media?
All right, so if you're in any app, if you're in Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, if you type hashtag Seattle Superman, you could find me. Or even if you type in Seattle Superman in Google, you could find all of my social medias on there. Or you could just type in my name, Jonathan Belle, and you'll find me that way also.
Cool. Well, I'll put links to as many of them as I can fit in the description, and then they can look for you there. So one of the other things that I've been doing lately in my videos is talking about at the very end, talking about some organization or charity that's helping out in the world right now. And we were talking earlier about this, and that's what's going on in Beirut right now with the destruction of the port and how it's affected people. So one of the things I just want to say to all the people out there who are watching this is to definitely look into seeing how you can help out in Beirut and Lebanon. And one of the places I'm going to put a link to the description in the down below is the Red Cross for Lebanon, because they're doing a lot to help the people that are displaced and help finding the people that are displaced too. They're making sure everyone's connecting and finding each other. So is there something you can think of that you want to add to that?
Oh, that totally works. I mean, I just found out about that too the other day, and that's pretty awesome that you're putting that link down there for people.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to connect people with something that's important right now in the world, because the world is, it's a place where everyone is looking for support. So trying to support each other is very important. So, well, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. So all of you out there watching, if you want to see any more of my videos that have to do with interviews or any of my other cosplay videos, links in the description and links here at the end. And thanks for watching, guys. See y'all later.